Hi, this is Lee. This is part 5 of my Inkscape beginner series, and this is going to pick up where part 4 left off. We're still working with text and shadow layers. This time I'm going to show you how you can overlap your letters like this, which requires a few extra steps if you want to cut this. And then I'm going to also show you how you can put you can download some digital scrapbook paper or any sort of pattern fill you can find, and you can make a print and cut where, let me show you. Like, for example, here I have done a print and cut on Starcraft inkjet transfer paper for light colored fabrics, and here I'm showing where I've printed two out and I'm cutting them on my Cricut, and then here they are cut out, and then here is one of those on a shirt and the other one on a shirt. This one didn't turn out. This one was supposed to be kind of faded looking, but I don't like the way it looks. But anyway, I think this one looks really nice. So I'll show you how to do that sort of thing. And to begin with, I'm just going to kind of go over what I did in the last video, but I'm going to go faster, just kind of as a review. So again, click on the text tool, and we're going to type our word. I'm just going to stick with love, and then I'm going to do Control A to select everything and change this to Cooper Black. All right, and now again click Control Shift and make it bigger. Okay, now again I'm going to actually make it, yeah, about like that. We need to convert this to a path, so path, object to path. All right, now you can see it's a group, so we're going to ungroup, which would be object ungroup or Control Shift G. Okay, now you can see they are all separate objects. Now at this point in the last video, I unioned these together because we just wanted those as one object. But here now I'm not going to union them together because we're going to do some more steps and overlap them. Okay, so now they're all separate objects. All right, they're all selected. I can select them either by holding down Shift and clicking on each one, or I can click and drag to select each one. I'm going to change the color to red, and then I'm going to duplicate it, Control D. Now what is selected is my duplicate, and they're all of them are selected, and you can see if I pull that off, okay, I've made a duplicate, and they are all separate objects. I'm going to change the color of this one to black by coming down here and clicking on black. And then I'm going to send those to the bottom of the stack by pressing End. Okay, so those are still selected. If I look down here, I see that my black ones are selected. All right, my red ones are on top of those, and I'm just going to use path outset like I showed you before. It's path outset or Control close parentheses. All right, without clicking anywhere else, because then I'll deselect my my objects. I'm going to do Control close parentheses to outset those to give me a shadow layer. All right, the reason we did this separately instead of unioning it all together is because now I'm going to click and drag over just the L. Now I've selected both of my colors in the stack. I've selected the red and I've selected the black shadow layer, and I'm just going to use the arrow keys on the keyboard. I'm using the right arrow key to move that L over. All right, so now they're overlapping, but you see the L is running into the O. So I'm going to click and drag to select those again, and I'm going to press Home on the keyboard to bring those to the top of the stack. I could also go to Object Raise or Object Raise to Top. Okay, so now the L is on top of the O, and I'm going to leave the O behind. Of course, you can use your own creativity with this. So now I'm going to click and drag to select the V and move that over. And again, you see the V, both of those layers are going behind the O, so I can just press Home on the keyboard to bring those to the top. And then I can continue to use my arrow keys to adjust it the way I want. Now for the E, again, click and drag to select both the red and the black objects and use the arrow keys to slide it over. And I like the E behind the V. I might move it over even just a little bit further. Okay, so now if I was to upload this into Design Space, what would I have? I would have, let me show you, if I select all of the red stuff and just drag it off, you can see it's still the letters, and it's going to cut like that. It would cut an entire L, and that's not what we want. I'm pressing Control Z to undo. I want the O to look like it has a cutout from the L. And this is where we go back to what I showed you in one of the very beginning videos, is where we used path difference. And you think, well, using path difference to cut squares and circles is not very exciting, but this is where it comes in really handy. There's lots of things you can do with it once you learn how powerful it can be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the black. Now I'll tell you another trick too. Usually when you click, it selects whatever's on top. And sometimes things are quite hidden underneath where you can barely click on it. Here it's no problem. I can just click on that black to select it. But if it's very hidden, it's only a tiny bit showing, if you click to select the top layer, then hold down the Alt key and click again, it will select the back layer. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to duplicate that back layer, Control D. Okay, now there's a copy on top. And then we're going to hold down Shift. That duplicate is still selected. I hold down Shift and select the O. And now we're going to do path difference. And what it'll do, because that black is on top, it's going to subtract that out of the O. So I will do path difference. Okay, now if I drag the O off, you can see that there's a little cutout. So I'm going to do the same thing for the V. All right, I've selected the top red. If I hold down Alt and click, I can select the black, duplicate, Control D. All right, so now I have a copy of that on top. So hold down Shift with that selected to select the O again. And now this V shadow is going to be cut out of the O, path difference. All right, now I pull the O out and you can see it's got both of those shapes cut out of it. And then finally the same thing. If I want the V on top of the E, I just select that black, duplicate it, hold down Shift to select the E, and again do path difference. Okay, now you can see the E has a little cutout. So now if I wanted to just put this into design space and maybe cut this out of patterned vinyl like one of the first ones I showed you, then I can just go through and hold down Shift and select all of these reds and union those together. I like to use the keyboard shortcut. If you don't, it's Path Union or it's Control Shift Plus. Now you can see what it has done because these black ones are not unioned yet. They're coming out to the top. It's no big deal. All you got to do is select those and press page down or end until you get them to the bottom. Okay, so now our love is all together, and you can see there's going to be gaps in it where where we've subtracted that out. But our shadow layer is still all separate pieces, so we're just going to select that. There's a couple different ways I'll show you to easily select something that's behind all together. So I can click and drag to select everything, and then hold down Shift and click on the red to deselect the red. Okay, so now all that's selected is the black. Another way that sometimes comes in very handy if you've got a lot of stuff on your page, click over on your tools and draw either a circle or a square, change its color to black, or whatever color you want to select. Now if I right click on that, this menu comes up here and there's all sorts of things I can do. I can go down to Select Same, Fill Color, and that selects everything that's black. That doesn't work out well for this particular project because I've got a lot of other black things on the screen, but sometimes that comes in really handy. So I'm going to delete that and just go back and select all of it, hold down Shift to deselect the red. Now all that's selected is the black, and I'm going to Union, Control Shift Plus or Path Union. Okay, now we've got a shadow layer that would all cut as one piece out of black. And then we've got our top layer that would all cut one piece out of either your colored vinyl or your pattern vinyl. Okay, now another thing you can do, and this is where we get to go shopping. I have gone online and let's see, searched for, free digital scrapbook paper. Okay. And now you can go down, and there's all sorts of, I downloaded a couple from this site, Free Pretty Things for You. And you can just go through and select a scrapbook paper that you think looks nice. And then sometimes they come as a zip and sometimes they just come as an image that you download. And another thing you can do is you can go to Etsy and search for digital scrapbook paper. and a lot of things come up with various price ranges. Because I'm cheap, so I went in and I changed here my price to 50 cents to $1 and then told it to search. And that gives me some cheap options to play around with. Okay, I've downloaded a few free ones and a few that I've paid for, and I've got those saved to my computer. So if you download something from Etsy, you can go up here to You and click on Purchases and Reviews. And this tells you the things that you have purchased, and then over to the right you can download those files. And let's see, these were in a zip, so I had to unpack the zip. And these were also. So I've done that, I've unpacked them and put them into a folder of digital scrapbook paper. So hopefully you can do that. And then if I want to change this to a pattern, I can go up to File, Import, and I'm going to import some of that digital scrapbook paper that I have purchased. And here are some of the ones that I've bought. And I will just pick, let's see, I'm going to do a purple argyle, and I'm just going to say Open. Now Inkscape wants to import this PNG bitmap image, and it wants to know how I want that to import. I want it to embed from the file and no image rendering mode, so I'll just say OK. Alright, so there is my PNG of that pattern, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to press page down to send that behind my love, and then I'm going to use the arrow keys to make it a little bigger so it covers the whole thing. Alright, now what I want to do, I want to select my word and hold down Shift and select that pattern, and then go up to Object, Clip, Set. And for this you want your object, your path, on top of the bitmap. So now I'll just say Set, and it has put that pattern in to my my word here. So then if I wanted to export this into Design Space, the pattern doesn't come in if I save this as an SVG, but luckily Inkscape has a really handy feature where you can export a PNG. So I select everything and go to Export, which I think is under File, Export, PNG. I usually do Control-Shift-E, which is the same thing. And then this export menu comes up over here. Let me close that so you can just see the one we're talking about. Export. So I wanted to export just the selection, just the thing I have selected, and I want it to export at 300 dpi. That's, I believe, dots per inch. And then this one you click on Export As, and now you get to decide where you're going to export it to. So I'm going to export it to this folder here, right here, and you can give it a name. Let's see, I'll name it Argyle Love. Let's see. Alright, save. Now it hasn't saved. To save it, you actually have to click on Export. That trips me up all the time. Right now, if we're going to go to Cricut Design Space and upload that and see what it looks like. Okay, so I'm just going to go to Upload, Upload Image, Browse. And now here it is right here. You might have to find your folder. No, so that's a PNG. It's going to come in as a bitmap. I'm just going to select it and click Open. Alright, so here it is. Do I want it to come in as simple, moderately complex, or complex? I usually just click complex if it's got a bitmap image in it. And I say Continue. Alright, so now, if you know in Cricut Design Space, sometimes if you import a JPEG or something, you have to go in and erase all the stuff you do not want. For this, because we exported it as a PNG, it has a transparent background, so we actually don't have to select and erase anything. We can just say Continue. Alright, then we want to save it as a print and cut image. My Design Space has been a little slow today. I'm not sure what's going on. Alright, so now select that and insert it into my canvas. Okay, it comes in quite large. For print and cut, the maximum you can, the maximum you can have is 9.25 by I think 6.25. So I'm just going to change the height to 9.25. I hit the wrong thing. 9.25. Okay, now so make it. And you can see here it would print that out and it would cut around. It would print a black shadow layer in your pattern. And so then it'll be like this here. It'll print it out on a sheet of paper with your colors. And this is, like I said, the Starcraft inkjet for light materials. They have one for dark materials also. And for that one, you do not have to mirror your image. For the light materials, you do have to mirror your image. Oh, and I'll show you, sometimes I forget. So a lot of times on Inkscape, I'll just go in and select my I'll go ahead and mirror it in Inkscape. And to do that, I select it and then go up here and click on this, flip selected objects horizontally. All right, so now it's mirrored. If I save that as my PNG, then I don't have to worry about mirroring it in Design Space, because a lot of times I get so excited that I just forget. Okay, so that is this lesson, and in the next one, I don't know what I'm going to do, but we'll find out. Thanks for watching.